Now, it's time to discuss today's biggest news stories with Nicola Thorp and Andrew Castle. Good morning
Good morning.
to both of you. And although we've already covered this, it is currently one of the biggest stories on the news. And so let's go back to Johnny Depp's second day in court. A very public court battle, Nicola.
Yeah, it is. This is one it's been going on for a couple of years now, and I think it's very disturbing because obviously there have been accusations made on both sides. And I just worry for a lot of victims of domestic violence who I've worked with in the past. I know that when these stories are in the press, it can be very empowering because you feel like maybe you could come forward and talk about your story, but it also can be very, very triggering. So yeah, my thoughts go out to any other sufferers or victims of domestic violence at this time. And I just hope it doesn't put any victim off coming forward, just seeing how much this story is in the limelight. Obviously, it's a very unique case with the high profile of the two people being involved in it.
And Andrew, what do you make of this, of course, because we were talking about the impact that this could potentially have on the media if it wasn't to go in Johnny Depp's favour, for example, or it were to go in his favour?
I think you have to be very careful about making any assumptions. I think Nicola has assumed quite a lot there, and I understand the reasons and the motivations behind it. And I think it's right to mention all of those things. But I think to prejudge something...
Andrew, let me just jump in there. Nicola would like to know... Make your point, Nicola.
What have I assumed there? I'm just interested to know what assumptions I've jumped to.
No, it was interesting that you raised the first thing. There was almost an assumption that that there's a guilt, and I don't think we can't see that yet. That's why there have been
accusations made on both sides. I'm not just talking about this case, the libel case done, but there have been accusations being made on both sides of violence and of manipulation and psychological abuse.
In that case, I understand exactly what you're saying, but if I can just outline what we've heard so far. The Sun newspaper have called him a wife beater, and he denies it. Depp says that he wasn't violent towards Amber Heard. He says that she hit him in the face and severed his finger by throwing a vodka bottle at him. There has been noted drug taking and admitted drug taking on his behalf from the age of 11. She or a friend defecated in their bed. I mean, I think what I would say here is, what a shame that it has to go to court for both of them. The decision has been made to take it to court. The only winners will be the lawyers. Proving libel is very, very difficult, but sometimes you feel like you have to defend your reputation, and the papers are not always innocent, and all four of us and many others know it. So it's going to be an entertainment for some people, but a tragedy for many others, I think.
Let's move on to a different story now. Chancellor Rishi Sunak will announce a £2 billion kickstart scheme later today to rescue the economy. He's expected to announce a temporary stamp duty holiday to stimulate the property market. I mean, anything that sort of stimulates the economy in any way is a welcome thing, wouldn't you say, Nicola?
Yeah, absolutely. We love Rishi Sunak, don't we? He's been the hero of coronavirus. He's also pledged 30,000 new traineeships for young people in England, which is brilliant news. But there are still people, and I hate to criticise Rishi, but obviously he's in that position. He's open to it. There are still people who have slipped through the cracks and have received nothing. So as much as this is wonderful news for young people 16 to 24, there are people in my age bracket and older who still haven't received any government support and haven't made any income at all since March.
And to go back on one of those points, exempting the first 500,000 of all property sales from stamp duty, Andrew, that's I assume what they're after there is some sort of stimulus in the property market.
Well, after George Osborne, I think 2014 messed it all up and completely distorted the market by messing about with stamp duty. I mean, does it raise more money? We don't even know when they make these sorts of changes. The key thing here from Rishi Sunak this afternoon is the timing. If he says that this is going to start in, let's say, August or September, then the property market will be completely destroyed at the lower level, and a lot of chains will break over the next 2 or 3 months. So if it's going to happen, it's got to happen immediately. Otherwise, everyone's going to call a halt, which is perfectly rational behaviour because they might save £10,000 or £15,000. So the main thing is timing, get it done quickly. At some point, all of this has got to be paid for. It's so frightening.
It's very true. Let's move on to face masks now. The president of Britain's leading scientific body, Venki Ramakrishnan, has said that not wearing a face mask should be considered antisocial. He went on to say it used to be quite normal to have a few drinks and drive home, and it used to be normal to drive without seatbelts. Today, both of these things would be considered antisocial, and not wearing face coverings in public should be regarded in the same way. Nicola.
I don't think it's quite the same as drink driving for many reasons. I don't think that's necessarily a helpful comparison. But I do think it is antisocial if you're not wearing a face mask where we've been told to wear face masks. But because there's been such a lack of clarity and leadership from the government, on this, I don't think people should be seen to be antisocial for not wearing it when they're going for a run, when they're out and about, or meeting friends in a park. If anything, like a mask in itself is quite antisocial because you can't really talk to somebody properly, but we're talking about it in a different way here. But yeah, if we've not been told to wear one, I don't see that it should be seen as antisocial. But yes, of course, on public transport, I feel uncomfortable if somebody is on the tube next to me not wearing a mask, or if I'm not wearing one.
Tom Hanks has a point to make here.
If I shut my eyes, I'm just pretending Sheriff Woody is like telling me what to do. And weirdly, I feel more like listening to Sheriff Woody at the moment. It makes more sense.
Andrew.
It's a strange thing, isn't it? How our moral guides, we have one from Hollywood there, obviously the big-time A-lister Tom Hanks. We've got Mr. Ramakrishnan, who says it may be antisocial. I prefer to listen to Jenny Harries on your programme 10 or 15 minutes ago, who said that the evidence is still not entirely clear because it can give people a sense of false confidence when they're wearing one. And I rather agree with Nicola that to wear a face mask, unless it's mandated like it is on public transport, it's just so horrible, isn't it? I mean, I hope it doesn't last for too long. I hope to God that a vaccine turns up at some point, as Jenny was saying, because it's just such a shame to have a barrier between people's expressive, their face, this basic way of communicating, and the rest of the world. And the evidence as to transmission is not clear yet.
All right, guys. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.